camera's over there.
Okay. Where's the oh, okay.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
I hear me.
Okay. Hello. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello.
Okay.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Hi.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Be Uplifted. As you can see, we are filming another episode without our beautiful Lonnie babes. We're trying to get a little used to it because
She's slacking.
no, she's got a lot going on. You guys know she's about to have a baby soon, so
Family comes first.
family first, and then she is going to take a little sabbatical once the baby comes. So I'm trying to get used to being the only female on here.
I thought she said that she would have more time during her sabbatical.
No, she said she was going to take a break during the beginning part, though.
Oh, okay.
Remember? And then Jasmine was like, I'll fill in for a couple. I was like, bet.
Bet.
Oh, we could have called her.
We could have. She probably would have been super down, too. Anyways, well, what are we talking about today, boys?
I don't know.
Cancel culture.
Cancel
Oh, yeah.
culture. Let's talk a little bit about that. What do we think about cancel culture? Are we for it? First of all, are we for it or not for it?
I'm not for it, but we're a small channel, so it's harder to cancel us.
Right. But generally speaking, what about you, Kuya? You've been in the YouTube kind of like social media, put yourself forward in the public eye, you know, more than Vince and I, because we're kind of starting. Vince is a little bit more shy. I'm not as big, even a bit.
Not big either.
But you're bigger and you have more experience, you know?
You know what? Cancel culture has its place. But as with anything, especially in when you offer platforms to anybody that doesn't deserve a platform, you know, anybody has a platform, they just pull out a camera and then now they're like, let me stand on my soapbox and yell at the world.
Right. Or impose my opinion heavily.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, with the cancel culture, we're just so quick to burn somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's this thing that I've always said where, what do you call that? Politically correctness robs us of our freedom of speech.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Wait, you've always said that? This is the first time I'm hearing this.
Maybe he's always thought that.
I've always thought that, but I've said it in the past and like in other streams, whether it's, you know, on YouTube and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But what it essentially does is that it prevents us from being corrected. Right? Instead of sitting up here and correcting somebody for whatever they said or whatever they did that was inevitably, I can't even say the word, what was wrong.
Yeah.
We just want to go ahead and just ruin a person's life.
True.
Yeah.
And whatever you do, whatever you say, there's always a path to redemption.
Right.
But we feel as though we want to stand on the pulpit and lay the hammer down, and then now instead of trying to, like, you know, spread the word or correct somebody, we want to stand there as heroes.
Right.
We want to stand there and get the likes. We want to get there and get the claps.
Right. We want to be the other extreme so that people can come and herd towards our side, canceling the other person,
Right.
making them look bad.
Like if somebody came up and they said something derogatory against Filipinos,
right.
let's say, because I can't speak for any other, you know, any other communities, but I can speak for the Filipino community, or even, you know, the not so tall community. It's, you know, you stand there and you want to correct the person, and if the person is now receptive to the correction, we've moved forward in life. I mean, now
both learned something.
Yeah, now somebody has learned something. But if you instantly want to tell somebody that now you got to ruin their life, you got to take money off of their table, you got to take food off of their table, you got to ruin their whole entire family simply because they had a misunderstanding about something, that to me is more problematic than what they are actually getting canceled for.
Right. I agree with that. What do you think is a place for cancel culture? Because you did say you feel like there's a place for it. So give an example where you're like, you know what, that one might be acceptable.
Pedophiles, murderers.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
You know, certain things like that where it's 100% truly harmful.
Non-negotiables.
Like if you said something like, I would say, again, I know we're probably gonna, you know, dabble on the whole Kanye thing, right? When he talks about the Jewish
Oh, yeah,
Americans
yeah.
and the Jewish culture, you know. If he stood there and told me that the Holocaust was fake, and he starts like actually like feeding into the minds of these degenerates, because they also have a lot of fucking degenerates that want to have their own stance,
Right.
or something blatantly racist, then you're done for. But for something simply like a slip up or just a misunderstanding or maybe even a stereotype,
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm agreeing.
Okay.
Yeah.
you know, and that's just the biggest issue that we have here. It's things go viral, and literally I know that a lot of people are simply doing it because one, they like the clicks.
Yeah.
They want the views, they want the likes, and at the end of the day, it's not about the message, it's about you.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I never really thought about it that way. So the canceling itself is more just to put the spotlight and make you be the hero,
it's like
as you call it.
It's a transference of popularity.
Oh, that's a good way to put it. A transference of popularity.
Yeah, but it's also a way to play the victim.
True.
Yeah.
Right, like now you're a victim of all this, and because you notice, like a lot of people, they will take whatever happened, whatever transgression it is, and then now they're gonna mention something about it in their life, right? And sometimes I'm like, out of the smallest fucking thing, you wanna be a victim to that.
True.
Like be a victim to bigger things.
Right.
Like there's a lot of problems that probably need to be fixed. That's way more important than what this celebrity said.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually very, very true.
Now, saying that, I do understand that there are, again, these radical groups that feed into that. But at the end of the day, you know, as soon as you are able to correct somebody in a proper way and then have a full-on face-to-face conversation and correct it right, then whatever these radical groups can't use that person as their poster boy anymore or the poster child anymore.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about this off camera, but we decided we'd elaborate our opinions on here. So R. Kelly, obviously, right? A very, very known person that got canceled as of the last few years. Obviously, we all know what he did. What he did was disgusting, right? That
Right.
falls into the pedophile thing. And everybody canceled him to the point where you guys, especially you, because you're a DJ, right?
Yeah.
You know that in a lot of clubs, his music is banned. A lot of DJs have refused to play his music because they're all standing like together in unity about like canceling R. Kelly. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Seeing as he has so many songs that are like classics, like even like "Step in the Name of Love" at a wedding, or like songs where he's singing just the hook. You know?
I've asked this in one of my streams. I asked the other DJs. I said, so there's a lot of times that I'll do an R&B stream or like a slow jam stream. There's a lot of times that I have to skip over R. Kelly songs,
Yeah.
like classics, like bangers,
Right.
right? And I asked the other DJs. I was like, hey, since we never get to play R. Kelly, did you guys delete R. Kelly from your library? And a lot of people were like, no. And some people said, I just know not to play. But I was like, yeah, but let me ask you a follow-up question. Do you guys listen to R. Kelly still? And a lot of them are like, oh, yeah. Because, like, so here's
Because they're
my
afraid
thing.
to get canceled themselves.
Yeah, exactly. They're afraid to get canceled. But so here's the thing. I don't play R. Kelly because I don't know who's listening.
Yeah.
And that may trigger something for somebody else. So out of respect for other people,
Yeah.
I don't play R. Kelly. But do I think R. Kelly should be played? Absolutely, 110%. Or his songs should be played. I don't know about
Age ain't nothing but a number, or like.
Yeah, so there's some that I'm like, I ain't gonna. Yeah, that's a little too far.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: I've never looked at R. Kelly as a role model. So
It was strictly good music.
yeah, and it's like, oh well, I don't support him. I was like, okay, well, I already got his music. It's not like by playing it, it's gonna give him more money.
True.
And let's face it, there's a lot of R. Kelly songs that people still know all the words to.
Yeah.
And if it comes on, it's like, okay, are they gonna Are they going to feel guilty for singing along? Are they still going to sing along? Are they going to go to a different channel? You know, or am I going to trigger a thought that they have that's associated with R. Kelly? So, you know, I try to stay conscious about that.
Like
you
a
know.
deeper trauma that
Yeah.
they're thinking about because they're relating to
yeah.
it or whatever.
First and foremost, I DJ for myself. I think that it's a lot more fun. I've turned down gigs just because I didn't want to do them. Not because I was lazy, but because I was like, that's not the vibe that I want to go through.
Yeah.
You know? But if Cuffin hits me up, I'm down. You know? Hickeys and dry humps, I got you.
Yes.
But you know, I don't like doing big clubs. I don't like doing like huge venues and stuff like that where they're like, oh, play Bad Bunny. I'm like, I have no idea what the hell I'm playing. Like I could be playing Suavemente. It's like, isn't that Bad Bunny? You know, I have no idea what's going on. But you know, like my point is, first and foremost, I play for myself. But I'm also conscious of the fact that I have a platform where I have an audience, and out of respect for the audience, I want to give them good vibes.
So as a DJ, this also came up in topic between me and Ackright, my husband, and he's a DJ too. And he was saying like sometimes he's conflicted because at where he works, obviously the girls, the dancers, they give requests, right?
Yeah.
And they tell him what to play when they're dancing, and he has to match the lights to it, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like there's so many girls, I guess, that are in the younger generation that have not taken it seriously anymore. It's mostly, he's like, I'm noticing that it's a lot of people like in our generation, right?
Yeah.
But the younger girls, they're constantly requesting that song. And he's like, are you sure? And they're like, yeah, nobody gives a fuck, blah, 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 whatever, whatever. What would you do in that situation where enough girls or enough people in the room are requesting it? Would you still be like against it?
I would be against it only because all of the people are not requesting it.
Okay.
Now, if there's like, there was a stream recently where somebody was all like, oh yeah, everybody kept on requesting R. Kelly. And in a stream, you can go to another channel. You can log off.
Yeah.
You know, but if you rolled with a bunch of your friends or if you're physically at that club and there's nowhere else to go, you know, you can't bar hop or anything like that, maybe be a little bit more respectful or conscious. Or
what about in that case where it's the actual performer and they're choosing what to dance to? What would you guys do?
Most of the performers don't know how the DJ equipment works.
Right.
So I can always say I don't have that.
Yeah.
You know, or we just redid the hard drive, or I don't have all my music with me today. You know, so there's always a way to get out of that, because I'd rather have everybody comfortable versus one person like feeling herself. You know what I mean?
What about you? What if it's here's another curveball, like it's a regular, like you work with this person every week and she's like this has happened too, where they're like, oh, I brought the song for you.
You know what? So here's the thing. And first and foremost, we're not trying to downplay anything R. Kelly's done, because we think it's fucking sick.
Disgusting, for sure.
But why R. Kelly?
That's the question.
Again, it's a rhetorical question, right? Like, why specifically R. Kelly? Because if you go down the list of all the artists that you could play that day,
right,
there's all these other different transgressions that can happen that have not necessarily been canceled. Now, again, not to downplay anything R. Kelly's done, but then you still have a lot of these rappers nowadays that are making millions and getting all these plays, whether it's club, whether it's a radio, sometimes whether it's on Twitch, that are specifically glorifying murders that they have committed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
How often have you heard hit 'em up on Twitch? You know, first off, your bitch, and yeah.
Or even what's that one that everybody sings to? That's like
Ain't No Fun.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Because technically, that's like degrading women and being like, my homies are gonna get a piece of all of you. You know.
Well, like again, I see a lot of whenever Vince is doing his slow jams, whatever, everybody's like, play Chris Brown, and I'm like, well,
that was another thing,
like,
right?
Doesn't that trigger?
It's a woman beater, technically.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Doesn't that all the females are requesting it? But for some reason, that doesn't elicit a trigger the same way R. Kelly does.
But it's also funny too, because like there's a lot of times where like they're talking, about like hoeing themselves out or hooking up with a hoe or something like that. But very, very often I'll see the girl be, like somebody will say, oh, he's talking about like hookers and stuff like that. And she's like, yeah, but he ain't talking about me though. I'm like,
yeah, as long as it ain't you. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, that could be said with R. Kelly also. Well, I mean, all the stuff that he did, but it ain't me though.
Yeah.
So,
but we're not defending what R. Kelly did.
No, we're kind of just,
Yeah.
as we always do in this podcast, we kind of like to look at both sides of the coin,
Yeah.
just to be fair, to hear and speak about different perspectives and opinions
Yeah.
respectfully.
yeah, I mean, you have, especially in like not just R&B, hip hop. You have like rock guys that have
Yeah.
been on a stupor, like a drug binge stupor, hop in a vehicle and killed somebody.
Yeah. yeah.
And they didn't get canceled the way R. Kelly's been canceled. Maybe it's because R. Kelly's trial kind of moved into the digital age, so it's easier to cancel him, where everybody
Right.
else was prior.
Right. So I think that's kind of speaking to the cancel culture that we're talking about, right? Like it's almost like that herd sheep mentality, right?
Yeah.
Like if everybody says R. Kelly is not appropriate, which he's not, again, we're going to keep saying that. We're not advocating or justifying anything R. Kelly did by any means. We're kind of just speaking, different perspectives. But like, it's almost like because R. Kelly, everybody agreed that he's a piece of shit. Everybody was very public about what he did. And you almost don't even have a choice, right? Like we have to cancel him. Otherwise, you're going to be part of that canceling.
But that canceling of R. Kelly, was it just like unspoken mutual agreements? Because while I knew about what he was doing because I was paying attention,
Right.
it didn't make like everyday news like what Kanye said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
that's
again,
another one, right?
is it because it's just at the start of the internet movement, and then now you're not really seeing like the trial and whatever
Yeah.
surviving R. Kelly. When was that special? Was it
A few years ago.
a few years ago?
Yeah.
Were we really using social media more at that time, where or was it he wasn't really active either?
Maybe it's because he had like a public trial that like everybody knew he was going through it. Whereas like Chris Brown, was his trial very public?
I don't think he actually went to trial, did he?
No, did they? That's what I'm saying. Like it's
I don't
almost
even think so.
it's almost like R. Kelly is like, kind of like at the top because of the fact that everybody did put it out on social media, out in the the public eye or whatnot. Because another one that we spoke about was Rick James, right? Like he did a lot of fucked up shit in his time too, which was many, many years ago, obviously. And Rick James is one of those like, it's fucking Rick James, like what you said, right? It's like, it's fucking Rick James. Like he's a classic. Or Michael Jackson, that's another one, right? Like a lot of people have not a lot, but like there are a group of people that have spoken out like, well, he has to be canceled too because he fucking had a child molestation case. He was accused of, sleeping with little boys at his home and things like that. What do you guys thoughts
see,
on that?
that's also like a big thing too, is that people nowadays are so easily brainwashed. And I'm not saying that anybody that believes in any of the things that have been proven or anything has been brainwashed, but you know how we joke a lot about how like I don't know when a girl is hitting on me.
Yeah.
Well, I try to like always not think that they are, because being in a photography space and everything like that, I'm extra careful.
Yeah.
And I never think that there's an advance
Yeah.
towards me, because I don't want anything to be taken the wrong way.
Do you guys, as men on a public platform, ever feel the need to kind of filter what you say because you are in a profession, not only in the public eye, but you work with, for example, you work with a lot of women. Are you ever scared of that cancel culture?
I think right here on the podcast, no, I don't really care. But I think because it's much, we could talk it out, and there's always some sort of like a discussion, and people know, and whoever's watching us understand that it is an open discussion, and we're always open to be corrected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing I'm always worried about is what happens outside of this realm, like with people that we don't necessarily know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that trickles down to mostly anybody, like especially our young kids, our young men, right? They are so scared to say anything or to do anything for the fear of being canceled.
So that's my next question. I feel personally that cancel culture is much more geared towards men. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so like there's one person that I ever saw as a female that was canceled. It was this makeup girl. She had made a comment about this gay boy, right? And if you're in that community, you guys already know who I'm talking about. James Charles, she made a comment about him, and it became a big viral thing, and she was probably one of the top making YouTubers at the time, and then her shit crashed and burned, and she's now just getting back up to the same status again. But that was the only time. And and me personally, again, no offense, I'm not trying to say anything in a mean manner, but it was because she had said something about the LGBTQ community, which is the only reason why, as a female, she was even canceled. Otherwise, they would have probably let it go. You know?
Yeah. I think that what's it called? The cancel culture. It directly affects guys more. You know, like if let's flip it now. Like let's say she was a guy, and you said that she's managed to crawl her way back up to a good status,
slowly but surely. Yeah, but she speaks about it. She speaks about it a lot now. About like, you know.
But how
I fucked up.
How easy would that happen with a guy?
It probably wouldn't, right?
Yeah.
Like they.
And then if you were, and
True.
you said that that she addresses it often. Now, if a guy did that, he's just like opening
defending
the wound
himself again.
Yeah, he's
True.
yeah. So there's that double standard. So it's definitely.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it's definitely harder for a guy. I'm assuming, like I've never been in that position. I hope I'm never in that position, and I do my best to make sure that I respect everybody, whether you're gay, straight, male, female, or
any gender, whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, whatever race is what I'd say.
Yeah, whatever whatever you identify as, like I give respect to everybody, and I try to give benefit of the doubt, but it does suck because now not only do I have to work harder at it, but I know that it's the things that I have to work harder at are easier to take down just because of like who I am or, what I am.
Yeah, that makes sense. I had something and then it.
That's okay.
Now, yeah, a lot. It still boils down. I think at the end of the day, it's still somebody standing on their little soapbox, looking for fucking their own attention or their own virality. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's about somebody standing there and be like getting the praises from somebody, getting the pats on the back, and they're getting off on the fact that everybody agrees with them at some point. Yeah. It has nothing to do with what they're trying to cancel. It has nothing to do with the message. It's about standing up on your little pedestal and yelling and then barking at the wind.
Yeah.
And hoping that someone comes to your feed and praises you for it.
Yeah, and that's basically all that it is. And it's like there's some of the times you see people wanting to cancel other people, and you're sitting there and you're going, you have no legs to stand on. Like this is like totally like an idiotic way to stand. Like for instance, like people get I remember somebody was trying to cancel somebody because they said something derogatory against like Filipinos or they wore a barong. Right.
Oh yeah, and then how many times have people like they'll marry like let's say an American girl marries an Asian guy, and then like traditionally to be traditional they go to their home country like China or whatever.
Yeah,
and then they wear like if they're Japanese. And then the girl wears the kimono. Yes. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, don't appropriate. Like somebody that's not even involved with it. Don't appropriate my culture.
The thing is though, okay, I'm glad you brought that up because 95% of the people that complain are fucking from America that have never actually stepped their foot into Japan.
And all of the everybody that's Japanese in Japan
would be like, oh,
they're like, oh, nice, yeah.
Thank you for honoring our culture.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's
so-
funny that you mentioned that because I was watching this TikTok recently, right? And this girl stitched this white looking girl with braids, right? She had
Right.
white braids, or she had braids, and a black girl was commenting on, excuse me, on the white girl's braids and was just like, you know, fucking cultural appropriation, blah blah blah. And then like it goes to this girl from some other Latino country or something, like somewhere far away, right? And she was like, are you fucking stupid? She's talking shit to the black girl, you know. She was like, if you go to my country, so many people have this hairstyle of all colors, all colors. She's
Yeah.
like, and we don't go around barking at people telling them that they're wrong, that they're stealing the culture. They said what you guys just said, right? They're like, we appreciate that they're valuing our culture, that they're appreciating our culture. And then there was all these, you know, black people in the comments that were like, you're missing the point. We don't want you not to rock the look. We just want you to give us some credit that that's where it came from. For example, like the Kardashians have made big asses popular, right? But everybody doesn't like it because it was like, okay, why is it when the Kardashians did it, it was okay? Why is it when the Kardashians got their lips filled, it was okay? Or Hailey Bieber, another example.
Excuse me. Sir Mix-a-Lot made that popular, all right?
Right. But exactly. So Sir Mix-a-Lot made it popular, but back then it was like a bunch of white girls like, ew, like big butts, Becky, you know? But now it's like, oh my God, let's go get a butt implant, you know? What do you guys think about that?
Again, out of everything you want to complain about,
Right.
that's the fucking thing you chose. You know, this whole like again, I can't speak for blacks, right? And how they feel, and you know, the whole I get it when they call like cornrows boxer braids, you know what I'm saying? Like I totally get that. So but I'm gonna speak on my Filipino people, right? All you motherfuckers that put Philippine X that don't
my
even know how to speak
gosh.
fucking Tagalog.
Yes.
Right? Barely set foot in the Philippines, yet you want to go ahead and dictate how our culture is portrayed.
And we fucking done that since the
Right.
beginning of time.
Yeah, but
like,
but also
Filipina,
you're gonna get a lot of these fuckers that go, oh no, that person can't do this, that person can't do that because they're misappropriating our culture. Motherfucker, you have fucking Japanese koi fishes tattooed on you.
That part.
What the fuck is that?
Yes, I 100% agree
like
with that.
you know,
Or characters that say book, and
Yeah.
you think that it says longevity
It's
or
not
something.
even that. It's like, but you have like, okay, again, I'll have like let's say some of my black friends, they're like, oh dude, that guy can't wear that. Like, what, he trying to be black? I go, bro, you have koi fishes tattooed on you.
Yeah, that's true.
You have Japanese symbols, Chinese symbols tatted on your neck, on your back, strength or whatever, which probably means kung pao chicken. But where do we draw the line? You know, where do we embrace each other's cultures? When do we sit there and say, hey, I love your culture, you love mine, let's come together and be one? We always try to do this like whole like one color world, but yet we always want to separate it because now we always want to feel like the fucking victim. This victim mentality about how, you know, I have to be the victim because now I have this soapbox to stand on, and now I have a way to yell at you guys and tell you how much of a victim I am.
But I do agree. Like Hailey Bieber, right? She posted a TikTok that went viral of her dark lining her lips in all brown, and then she put gloss on it, which you guys remember from the 90s. That was very popular, right? And she dubbed it the cupcake, like the cupcake lip or something, the icing lip, because it was like shiny with the thing. And everybody was like, oh my God, she's starting a new trend. Hailey Bieber is the best. Like, she's done a great job. And I have to agree, though, kind of. Like, I see what you guys are saying. I agree that there's bigger things in the world to worry about. But it's like, but when the rest of us were doing it, a lot of people don't know the history of that. So the reason why Mexican women and people of color started lining their lips dark like that was because there was nothing in the beauty industry that fit our skin color, right? So there was no pencils dark enough to line our lips. So we started darkening or using eyeliners, which were black and brown. So that's where that look came from. And so that's what this, the people in the comments, the people of color were commenting. They're like, at least like let people know that she is not the trendsetter. She's not the maker. Like, give people from the past that have done it some credit, you know? Like, I agree with that. It's like you can't pay Hailey Bieber millions of dollars for this trend she's starting when it has started from like a lot of people.
Okay, but so at the end of the day, I totally get what you mean. I totally get what you mean, because the minute you said the liner, I thought fucking macholas. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I'm like sad eyes and raccoon.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, how much of your energy has to be used up for something that you can't actually like sway?
That's true.
You know what I mean?
But should they stay silent about that?
No,
opinion?
I think that the thing is, like, I think she should be educated on it, and I think you should bring up the whole history
But don't
of
cancel
it.
her.
But why do you cancel her
Yeah,
for
okay.
something that stopped being a trend in 1996? Right? She wasn't alive in 1996. You know who told you that was wrong? Your fucking mom. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about all the star shot photos.
That's literally
Right.
what I thought about when I saw that
The
trend.
Chola
I was
trading cards?
Yeah, the Chola trading cards.
Pull up my fucking pictures from Excel photos.
Yeah.
Excel photos,
Yeah.
Mirror Mesa.
Mirror Mesa. I'm like, I got some dark lip liner lipstick over
No,
here.
but I mean, at the end of the day, it's like we are fighting this battle that just so useless. It's like we're just bored, entitled motherfuckers.
Looking for shit to complain about.
Yeah, because I'll be honest. I'll see something and I'll go, "Oh, that's fucking ripped off a Filipino." Then I'm like, "Well, I don't fucking have the energy to even fight that." Like I don't like at some point I don't really care.
Yeah, there's also that whole thing where, like, let's say if I did fight this, how does that affect my life? Who cares?
Yeah, how does that change your life?
But do you think that people should make themselves small or their opinions and voices small just because it's not going to change anything?
Before I answer that, and I do want to address that, so keep that in your mind, because I'm
Okay.
going to have you repeat that so I can understand it correctly. But
okay.
let me give another let me give another
Lonnie, I'm scared.
here, let me give another point of view, right?
Okay.
What if she just had the same idea without knowing the influence?
Right.
Maybe what if she wasn't ripping it off, but she like randomly was like, "Oh, I wonder what this looks like. Oh, this is cool. Oh, let me put this on my social media." And because she has a big platform, people that are going to naturally hate on her are going to accuse her of copying it without giving credit.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, dude, I've made paper airplanes the same way other people have made paper airplanes. Does that mean that I took their idea? No.
Yeah.
You know, what if that's the case?
Okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's where
good
you
point.
have the opportunity to educate on history, because not everybody's well versed on history.
Yeah, this is
not,
true.
Not everybody was well versed on what happened in East LA or in Paradise Hills.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
True.
That's true.
No,
Yeah.
like watching Blood In, Blood Out, watching Mi Vida Loca, those are cult classics.
Yeah.
We never saw it like on the big screen.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? We saw it at the dollar theater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Right. So yeah, that's what we grew up with. That's like kind of our culture. But where did she grow up?
But it's not hers.
It's not hers. But
Yeah.
you can have a TikTok, or you can have a response to it about being more educating the masses.
Oh, my bra's showing. Sorry. I lifted my arm up and my boob fell out. Sorry.
But like educating the masses without necessarily having to cancel anybody, because again, that's where the conversation starts. The minute you start to attack people and then you want to go ahead and take money off their table, or like get them, like basically have them lose their jobs, that's where conflict starts. That's when you start picking sides.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should be able to counter culture or counter cancel. Yeah.
Counter cancel.
Count.
Yeah, counter
Yeah.
cancel.
Did you guys hear about
No, there was a question that I made you memorize.
Oh yeah. Okay. So because you guys have that mentality of like, what's the point, right? Or
Yeah.
how does that help me, etc. Do you feel that people that do have an opinion, or that are offended, or that do feel the need to even just educate, right? Not even cancel. Should they don't you think that's almost like, if everyone didn't want to give their opinion, it almost like it contradicts educating these people? Like, should they make their voices small? Should they not state their opinion just because there's no point?
Well, I mean, it kind of depends. Like, I think we had this conversation yesterday about, it was a very brief conversation. So if you don't remember this, it's okay. But it was like, it was at $2 steak night. And we were talking to the not a content creator. You remember?
Right. Yeah.
And then we're talking to our other mutual friend, and then we're like, you're gonna lose this battle because, you know, this girl is not trying to get the right answer. She's trying to convince us that her answer is right. And there's two separate things. And until people can understand that, you know, there are different ways to approach something, and there is there's a more sophisticated way to have a conversation. If you have an open mind, there's no point, you know, like our podcast.
I was going to say
when it was boys' night out, and then we had a special guest that called in. You know what I'm saying? It's like at a certain point, it's like I'm not trying to make anybody look bad.
Right.
I even tried to, you know, kind of lead them into a way where we're not talking about something where we can't properly discuss it. But no, they consistently just went on with it, and I was like, well, I'm not making you look bad. You just look bad.
You're making yourself look bad with your closed-mindedness almost.
Yeah, and it's like, and she even said, "Are you guys even listening to me, or do you guys even understand what I'm talking about?" It's like, yeah, we understand it, we get it. You're just wrong.
Do you understand my side though? That's how you guys felt? Yeah.
Yeah.
But who are you to say that she was wrong if she feels like she's right? Just out of curiosity, I'm not siding with her by any means. Just playing devil's advocate.
No, I think we made it. You make it perfectly clear that you understand where they're coming from, but this is also the truth, or this is your views on it. Mm-hmm. So again, you're sharing an opinion, and you're trying to educate somebody and to elevate their own knowledge. Mm-hmm. You know, I think at some point though, we are so quick to just attack. We're so quick to attack and eliminate people and then you can't give any type of constructive criticism or constructive type of stories or education that actually helps that person progress. You just want to wipe them off the map and be done with them.
So would you say that you would have respected what she was saying more if she had been more like, okay, I understand where you're coming from. I see your point of view, but I still think that I'm right. Would you have just how you guys had said to her, like, I understand where you're coming from, but you're wrong. And what if she clapped back with, you know what, I understand where you're coming from too, but I feel like I'm right.
If she did understand where she was or where we were coming from, she would have recognized the hypocrisy of what she was saying.
That's true. If you guys missed that episode, I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate
No.
here. I definitely agree with the boys. She was being very hypocritical. So
I'm very open to like being like, you know, I'm open to learning new ways to look at something, and maybe there's some way that I wasn't looking at it, but you know, based on you know, for one, living through it, to you know,
that part,
to the fact that I had a mediator with me, you know, Rich and the chat, and you know, I was like, okay, well. And I did.
What did the chat say out of curiosity? Did they have any comments on the hypocrisy? Did they agree, disagree? Because I missed that part.
I think there was a lot of OMGs in there. Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't really paying attention to chat only because
me neither. When I was watching it, I was just like,
I was solving a Rubik's Cube, I think. I was like, could have checked out, but yeah.
So speaking to cancel culture too, we had this conversation also. I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on it as males. Do you guys remember the big statue over by Seaport Village of the couple kissing?
Yes, the sailor.
Yes.
The
The sailor. So you guys know later that the woman came out, right, and had stated like, that was actually not my man. Like everybody had painted this picture, which is why it became famous, that it was a man coming home to his lover and he took her and swept her away and gave her a kiss, right? Mm-hmm. But in actuality, this woman was actually there waiting. I don't know if you guys know the history on that, but she was waiting for her dad, I think it was. And this was just a rando that came and like took her and kissed her. And she later stated like, after many, many years, like, you know, I actually was not comfortable with it. Like, and then all these, you know, feminists came out and was like, oh my God, toxic masculinity, take the shit down, like blah, blah, blah. What do you guys think about that? Right or wrong?
I don't know, because like culture. I mean, it's hard to say because culture has changed so much since.
That's kind of what we
And-
talked to our girls about. We were like, back then it was more accepted, to be like, the sailors are home, like, whatever. But now it's like, don't
Yeah.
fucking
But
touch me, fool.
This
you
is
know?
this is the thing though, is that yes, in that particular situation, I believe that situation is wrong. Don't ever kiss somebody without consent. But it was the symbolism that statue and that picture became so popularized. You know what I'm saying?
So you don't believe in the actual act, but you understand the
Yeah.
beauty and the symbolism.
Exactly. So I mean, as a as a compromise, could we just change her hair color instead of taking the whole thing down?
Yeah.
Could we
Just say
just
that
cha-
it's a random couple that we're just talking
Yeah.
about.
And if you guys
experience.
want to be woke, can we just make her like a different ethnicity?
Well, you can't see her face. Eliminate her name from the books.
yeah.
I mean,
true.
I totally understand how she would feel uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right.
I'm not trying to discredit that at
Like,
all.
I
but-
totally understand how she would feel uncomfortable, but then again, then at that point, the minute she says it, now she has people that again want to stand on their soapboxes,
Yeah.
and cancel it and say, okay, so
That's true, because it was almost like the people had more of a problem than the actual person that went
right.
through it.
So here's the thing. I get it. Remove her name. I don't know if that will suffice, but I would say remove her name. Right. And at the end of the day, I'm looking at like all the other things, all the other symbols of atrocities that we have, remove them too. And at the
Yeah.
end of the day, we have no history.
Because like what a very famous comedian said, isn't our currency just trading cards of like slave owners? Why don't we get rid of that?
So true.
Pretty
oh my
much.
gosh, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Why don't we get rid of that?
Okay, how about this one? I'm all thinking about
Oh
all the
yeah,
ones.
yeah. Keep it coming.
The Baby It's Cold Outside. You know that song, the Christmas song?
Yeah, but
Really
yeah,
can't stay, that song.
yeah.
Baby It's Cold.
So
You know what I'm talking about?
so when you
know
look
that
at
song?
it,
I have to find
yeah, when you view it in a different context, or with what's it called sarcastic intent, then of course, yeah, it's gonna sound like that. But I mean, it's a beautiful song.
this one.
Can't
Yeah,
play
you
it.
can't play.
No, I'm gonna play it for you. I know they can't hear it, but I'm gonna play it for you.
Well, they
too.
might be able to hear it.
Here, just in case.
Wait, don't play it in the.
Oh yeah, because it's gonna feedback. I'm sorry, sorry.
Yeah.
You know that song?
It's Dean Martin.
Yeah, but okay. So
Okay, so if you guys don't know the song "Baby It's Cold
Yeah.
Outside," it's a very, very, very famous old Christmas song.
Mm-hmm.
And to kind of summarize it in a nutshell, it's basically a man and a woman hanging out, and they start drinking, and he's inviting her to come inside. And long story short, he kind of like coaxes her and pushes himself on her and says like, "Baby, it's cold outside, have another drink, no, you should want my," very sexual, like driven, and she can't say no. And it was always famous because back in the day it was thought about a very endearing song, like, oh, he's pushing his love on her on a cold Christmas night, you know. But then in the latter years, as of late, in the new cancel culture society, a lot of people have canceled that Christmas song because they say it's chauvinistic, it's encouraging rape. And I can see that if you really break down the lyrics.
or if you use your imagination.
Or if you use your imagination, because he doesn't actually literally say it, right?
Yeah.
It's just very innuendo-y.
Because there was also a music video for that, correct?
right, yes.
But he didn't show force.
No, it was just like, come on. And she was like, no, you know? And he was like, come on, you know, like that's kind of like the theme. But there's even like, I was watching even a very modern Christmas movie where the girl when they started playing that song, she's like, turn this shit off. The character in the movie. And she's like, I'm not singing this. This is the most fucking misogynistic, rapey song ever. Do you think classics like that, almost like R. Kelly, should be taken off the books or should be changed, even though it's a classic, because of people's sensitivity?
Where do you draw the line?
That's the question,
Yeah.
right?
No, I'm saying like no, like again, that's where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back because sorry, it was Dean Martin, right? So it started. The minute that you started explaining it, I thought of one thing.
Let's see the lyric.
And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Rogers and Hammerstein.
Yeah.
Rogers and Hammerstein. Carousel, Sound of Music.
Yes.
7 Brides for 7 Brothers.
Right.
Do you remember 7 Brides for 7 Brothers?
I don't.
I don't think I do.
There were 7 brothers that kidnapped 7 sisters.
Oh, yeah,
took them up to the top of the mountain.
Yes.
And barricaded them from the police. Right?
Yeah.
And then basically forced them to live with them over the winter. And they all ended up falling in love and marrying each other. Like at some point, that is kidnapping, evading police,
right?
And forcibly, basically some mental jujitsu, and having somebody now fall in love with you because now they say that's what victims do, right?
Yeah.
Right. They I don't know what they call it.
Now I'm gonna get culture or canceled because the last podcast I was saying persistence overcomes resistance.
That's true.
And then now all of us, now I'm the
now you're
bad
this guy
person.
and the baby's cold outside. That's you.
Yeah.
No
as
wonder
careful as I've been.
I was gonna say, no wonder why these boys don't hit on nobody. They're like, fuck that. Someone's gonna think I'm trying to rape
well, that's
them.
what I'm saying. Like, and you can't just talk because now you're like all of a sudden you can get canceled. But like, where do we draw the line? Where do we draw the line? Like, how many other movies do we have to go back and say we can never watch these again because of just the plot or something said or songs? And I would challenge anybody that will tell you that they don't like that song, and then you go through their full entire
Megan Thee Stallions
like music list, and now you have you like Great Balls of Fire by Jerry Lee Lewis. He married his 14-year-old niece.
Yeah.
Oh,
now
shit,
what
I
is
didn't know that.
Yeah. How does that work?
Yeah, where do you draw the line?
Where do you draw the line?
Because
Draw the
that
line?
line needs to be drawn soon because eventually, if things keep progressing the way that they are, somebody's going to look back at me and they're going to say, oh, he bought her dinner. That was with the intent to have sex with her. We should cancel him. I'm like,
well, I mean, that's pretty much why we go on dates.
yeah, exactly.
I mean,
but
that's why
it's a
humans-
norm now, but what's going to happen in the future?
That's how humans get together. I'm sorry. We go on dates. I pay for the date.
Yep.
And also, when you're in the age range that we're grown-ups, it's kind of like, what do you think people are expecting at the end of that? Like, obviously, you shouldn't, like, expect to get pussy, but, like, they're hoping to, right?
Yeah.
If, like, we're being realistic, like, you're hoping to, at the very least, right? Respectfully, they'll accept the no, but that's what they're hoping for at the end of the day.
And I think that, like, some like, I always think that most of the people that are more on the cancel culture are, like, maybe born in, like, 2000. I would say they're a lot younger, right? Mm-hmm. Because, or maybe in the late 90s, because when we lived through the late 90s, we kind of lived through the plethora of music. So we kind of we could always name off every single. We could go through my whole entire set list. Mm-hmm. Whether it's me fake DJing on Twitch, whether it's me listening to it, and I go, fuck, you know what? You can get canceled for this.
Yeah. Like, there's so many times I'll be looking, or I can't think of anything on my top of my head, but I'm like, wow, this did not age well.
Yeah. Right. That's so true. Okay, but I have to play devil's advocate as the female, right? So I feel like you're right. Where do we draw the line? Like, we have to, males are very much in, what's it called? In danger of being canceled, right? You guys have a lot more that you have to kind of like hold back. But, what do you say to these women that have had these like experiences of like, men pushing themselves, or like, I told you guys about like about the videos. No, like, for example, I've seen so many. Obviously, it's probably on my fucking algorithm now because I've watched enough of them, right? Like, literally women like turning men down and then like getting punched in the face because the guy couldn't take the no, or like a guy fucking going back to his car and coming out with a shotgun and shooting up the place because he didn't take the rejection, which is why I feel like women are like pushing this agenda of like, canceling misogyny almost to the extreme because guys have taken it to the extreme.
But so playing the devil's advocate. Mm-hmm. For one, those are rare cases, right? Second, we don't know what they did that led up to that.
No, I mean, a lot of these videos, you actually see it in action. Like, the guy's like, hey, what's up, ma? Can I get your number? Da, da, da. And they're like, no, thank you. And then, like, you fast forward later to where, like, okay, so this guy has come into my table like 5 times asking for my number, asking for my drink. And she's finally like, dude, I said no. And then they go fucking out. And then they, like, come back and they, like, blow shit up, you know? Like, not literally, but you know what I mean? Like, they get angry. Or there was this other girl, she was approached by a guy coming out of a store. And she said a bunch of, and she had recorded it because she said she felt not safe, right? Walking around because he was kind of following her, hitting on her.
Yeah.
And so she was recording the interaction silently. And the guy was like, come on, man. Like, I'm approaching you with respect. Like, give a brother a time of day. Da, 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 da. And it was, you know, it was this like, whatever, this guy. And she was like, no, I'm sorry. Like, and you're making me feel really, really uncomfortable. And, you know, it goes on, blah, blah, blah. You can expect it. And then she finally gets into her car and he hits her car. Like, he gets in his car and hits the corner of her car because he was so mad that he got rejected.
That's very interesting. First off, I wouldn't apologize for not being interested.
Yeah, a lot of girls do because they're scared.
Yeah, that's also the same as, like, if a girl were to talk to me and I have a girlfriend and I say, sorry, I have a girlfriend. I'm not sorry for having a girlfriend. I'm very proud of that. And if I wasn't, then I'll kick her to the curb and I'll go with the better choice.
But do you guys see, just like I see your side of why maybe women do have this extreme because of these certain experiences? Because I had this conversation with my daughters today. I was like, listen, there's a respectful way to turn down men, you know?
Yeah.
And Ackright, being a protective dad, you know, he was like, no, if a guy comes up to you at the club and doesn't ask you politely to dance, right? Because I was like, you're gonna see this move, and I like showed them how the guys like scoot up behind and like start rubbing their dick behind, you know.
You're like, that's your dad's move.
And I was like,
and then I'm gonna come in, persistence beats resistance.
And so I was like telling them, like, you know, you have uncles, you have brothers, you know. There is a way to turn these men down with respect, you know. And I think I've mentioned this before. My older daughter is kind of like the bitch. She's like, nah, fuck men. I hate men, you know. And I'm like, no, you can't be like that. You can't be a toxic feminist either. And Ackright was like, no, if a guy approaches you disrespectfully, then you can turn him down disrespectfully. But if a man comes up to you and asks you, as your mom says like, hey, will you dance with me? Hey, can I get you a drink? You can respectfully decline and be polite, but you are not required to be polite to a guy that doesn't show you respect from the get. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
I agree with that.
100%.
Okay. Yeah. Even as men, you're like, if they're pieces of shit, then okay.
You know, like, women got to pick their men better. You know what I'm saying? Like, at some point,
women, they have to be accountable for that.
At some point, like,
because you have daughters, so that's why I was wondering to pick your brains too, and they're older, so
I just, you know, like, as Vince said, you know, those situations where the guy rams the car it's very rare.
Yeah,
it's just that nowadays you capture it on film and it goes viral. So and then you'll see it like 5 or 6 times, and now it seems as though it's a new video every time. So now it looks like it happens every day.
Yeah,
but it's something that could have happened 5 years ago. You know, and that's the thing with social media, is that everything's recorded, so it makes everything look that much more dangerous. Now, again, so we don't get canceled. We're not negating what happened, these experiences, or these like a guy running into your car. That's assault.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
That guy's a piece of fucking shit.
Right.
Right, but does it happen every day?
But what if you get that one person? I think that's what makes it scary. So for me, I'm very paranoid when that's part of the reason. I'm a very nice person just because, right? You guys know that I'm just a nice person. But I would be lying if I didn't say that part of that niceness came from fear, because I do get scared sometimes that, like, what if this is that one guy that I turn down or I am cold to at the store, that because, you know, I get approached by guys randomly and I'm like, what if this is that psycho that's gonna fucking follow me outside, you know? Or what if this is that fucking dude that gets upset and like, you know, fucking not even hurts me, goes outside, finds my car and scratches it or something, you know? So I would be lying as a female to say, like, it does influence me a little bit because there is that fear, you know?
No, and that fear is understandable. I think that, like at some point though, you don't want to put yourself, and again, it's just going to sound horrible. You don't want to put yourself in the position where you're alone and vulnerable.
I don't anymore, but yeah.
So can I give another point of view too?
Yeah.
So yesterday, myself and Rich, we were at our regular Tuesday night spot, and a very drunk person, and a very big drunk person. He was like he could have fucked me up if we were like in a fist fight or whatever. He came through, but it seemed like we're having a good time. Now, if we took gender out of this could be a version of flirting. And he came up and he started talking to us, right? Clearly, he is the bigger person. But I also consciously knew that if in his inebriated state he may make a bad decision or take something that we said the wrong way,
right?
I already knew like how I would defend myself, so I wasn't ready to. The first thing that came to my mind was the whole flight or fight.
Right.
I was ready to protect myself.
Right.
Why is it so hard for a woman to put themselves in that, or anybody else? Let's take gender out of it. Why would it be so hard for somebody to just be like, okay, this could be the situation. Let me think of a good way out. Let me hold my keys in a way that if I need to attack them, I can inflict damage. Let me get my pepper spray ready. Let me start making my way closer to the exit. Even if they do follow me, at least I can go towards a bouncer, towards a crowd.
No, I agree with that. That's actually a really fantastic point because that's how I've coped with this fear. Is I always position myself too now in a more so women. That's a very good piece of advice I think coming from a male and female perspective. Is my girls and me all have pepper spray. My girls are now in jujitsu because I want them to have self defense.
Because
so prepare yourself.
And it's called situational awareness.
Yeah,
and it's also knowing your strengths and your weakness. Like, I'm happy that you put your girls in jiu-jitsu, but they're not gonna be, no matter how good they are at jiu-jitsu, me that's never done jiu-jitsu would whoop their ass. No ands, ifs, or buts about it. Because I have the weight and the strength to overpower them.
Right.
So what you do is that while you have that in your back pocket, like that, again, that's like your Swiss Army knife, right? Of like your defense.
Right.
You have to be cognizant of exactly where you are at all times.
Yeah.
You have to know, like, I get it. Like if you're walking through downtown, especially like those busy nights, and you're walking alone, you're kind of setting yourself up,
you're
right?
setting yourself up.
So there's a lot of people who say, well, I can walk alone by myself because it's America, blah blah. But listen,
no,
you still don't know about that one person, right?
No, it's true.
And that one person can always overpower you. So what you do, you ask a guy. If you're with a guy, hey, walk with me over here. Can you just come with me?
No, it's true. I mean, that's exactly what I told them too, because there was a recent shooting too near our place, and a 14-year-old girl and like a 16-year-old boy got shot, whatever, at this party. And that's exactly what I told them. I was like, but part of the fucking problem is, yes, it's sad. Don't get me wrong. I don't take away from the fact and that tragedy. No mom or parent or kid should ever go through that pain. But I was like, why the fuck were they there in the first place? Like, why were they at a party with a bunch of guns? Like, they should not have been there. Time and place. Like, they positioned themselves in that danger, So I agree with that 100%. Yeah.
And piggybacking off of what Rich was saying is, like, I've heard a lot of times where girls, like, cry to guys and say, you don't know what it's like to have to always wonder, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you kind of put yourself in that position, because, like, okay, Rich wearing all red as a Niners fan, I agree with him. Rep the Niners. But here's the thing. I'm not going to wear that shit in a Crip neighborhood.
Right.
Same token, like, I'm wearing something that I probably shouldn't be. Is that...
No, you're good.
Yeah. I'm wearing something that I shouldn't be at a time of day or whatever that I shouldn't be wearing it. That I've kind of put myself in that position, and I'll take accountability for that. That's why I don't do it,
True. There was one time, though, where I was downtown and my phone died, right? I'm waiting for my Uber, and all my friends left me, and I was by myself downtown walking, looking for this Uber because he...
But your phone died. Yeah. That's your fault.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no.
Yes, it is. I have a power brick there, and you carry a purse. I have to carry that shit either in a backpack or in my pocket. So I have that.
Yeah.
I charge my phone before I leave the house.
I mean, there's a reason for the reason why my phone was. That's irrelevant.
I mean, what time was it?
It was really late, and it was right before the club was going to close, which is why everybody was leaving. And I didn't know that I was going to get left. Like, all the girls were like, okay, we're going to go to the spot. And they were like, your Uber is coming. And so they fucking just left before the Uber even came. And I remember I was fucking terrified because I was by myself in the middle of downtown, and all my friends had left me. I felt fucking pissed. I was like, really, guys? Like, not one person is going to wait with me.
But that's where you prepare yourself mentally ahead of time, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what before you even go to downtown, you have to kind of look at your escape points, right? And so, for instance, like with you, I understand they left you, and now you're scared.
But I did position myself, like I stood in a lit area. I made sure to go where there was like people, you know,
or stand next to the bouncers at whatever entrance to the club.
Exactly.
You just have to position yourself in a way where you are going to be protected. Because again, you know, you always say, like, what if it's that one guy? Well, unfortunately, if the guy really wants to attack you, there's nothing you can do. You can't overpower him.
That's true.
You cannot overpower him. So you cannot put yourself in those situations. And it's like, if you say otherwise, that I'm a strong woman or whatever, look, that's why boxing, jiu-jitsu's, anything has weight classes, right? 5 pounds, 10 pounds over.
It makes a difference.
It makes a huge
100%,
difference.
100%. Like a girl, okay, this is a whole nother fucking subject, but this is why, like, how they say, you know, how they're like saying that certain trans people should be able to fight, like in the women's class and like blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But it's like physically, even like the density of a man's bones is heavier than a female. So it's really not fair, you know? So I definitely agree with what you're saying.
Well,
there's things you can't control.
If you guys don't understand us by now, imagine riding a motorcycle. We always have to be on the defense. And no matter how badass you think you are, you're not going to beat up a car.
Yep.
All right? So just like fucking stop being a dumbass.
No, I was having, because you made this point on one of our streams or our recordings lately, and I went to the barber shop with my boys, right? And so all the
Interesting.
guys
I haven't made a point for a long time.
No, you made this point where you were just like, oh my God, I'm having a brain fart. Like right now, it just left.
It's true.
What were we talking about before that?
She's talking about my purple moments.
Yeah, I'm having a purple moment.
Wow.
Shit, it just, you made
You
a
went
good
to
point.
you went to the
the
barber shop.
Yeah.
Oh, what were we talking about before that? That triggered that memory.
Well, I was talking
Don't be
about...
a dumbass.
Yeah, don't be a dumbass.
Motorcycle.
Buy a motorcycle.
You can't beat up a car.
Yep. Unless you're another car.
Oh, fuck, I can't remember. I'm sorry, guys. I apologize, podcast.
It must not have been a very good point.
No,
that
it was
I made.
a good point, but it literally was like, loop. It went.
Yeah.
It went.
But no, you know, in that case, I always say, learn some basic self-defense.
Right.
Jiu-jitsu is good because you do have the ability to probably, you know, eye gouge, like get out of whatever hold that they have.
Jiu-jitsu is more about mounting, right? So if somebody mounts
Krav
you.
Maga. That's what you should learn.
No, but I mean, at the end,
That's just gangster.
at the end, you're programming your body for self-defense.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, well, I did say, like, yeah, somebody can overpower you. That training might just save your life.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
There's that slight there's the advantage that goes your way also once you guys end up on the ground or whatever, and you could easily move out because you are so used to self-defense. But I think that, you know, before you go out, I think women don't think that way. Because technically men are the protectors.
Well, and here's the thing, right? To be even more to your point, my instructor when I used to do Muay Thai, right? He used to say, everything is cool until you get punched in the face.
Yeah.
Like you could get all kinds of
you could have a plan, but as soon as you get punched in the face, that shit goes
out the window. Like it's just like whatever happens is gonna happen. So 100%, yeah. So, anyways, back to cancel culture.
Oh, you know how we fix cancel culture? And I've said this outside. We should normalize fistfights.
I think so. Like that shit on was it Friday? With the Friday where he's like talking about like fist fight and put the guns away. But that was the dad's message, right? In Friday.
Okay, yeah.
When he's fighting.
I that's not gonna fix cancel culture, unfortunately, because
It'll
of
make
the
it a lot more entertaining though.
Well, it would be,
Well,
but
make a lot less people dead too.
I think that because of the internet and the easy access to stand on a soapbox to preach from your pulpit, to preach to your people, it's just gonna get worse.
Yeah,
and I think that we have to make an effort. We have to make an effort to educate everybody, not only about the beauty of your culture and the beauty of other cultures, and we have to come together and have an understanding that just because somebody that's not Filipino decides to wear a barong doesn't mean they're misappropriating your fucking culture. They're appreciating the art that it took to make that and the style. So you should praise them, and if they do need more of knowledge in regards to the history behind patterns or behind the Maria Clara and why that is like that, or educate them.
Well, what about these bigger companies that have like, what's that one? I know we talked about this before too. That one restaurant that is ran and owned by all white males, and they called it
Taco Bell.
No, they called it some Filipino like gang, like.
Oh, I don't want to say it.
Fucking, what's it called? Anyways, it's a Tagalog word, right? Like bar. Oh, they called it barkada. You know?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's barkada. It's not a gang.
No, not a gang.
No,
it's the word.
not.
They called it barkada, and like a lot of their food is Filipino centric, like blah, blah, blah. But they don't speak about the Filipino culture at all. Like they claim that this was their idea, that it was just a cool word that they heard. But they're not Filipino. They don't give the Filipino culture any credit. They don't even, and when people have brought it up, they're just like, what? Like there's no respect, basically.
Well, then you don't go. Yeah. At that point, you don't patronize them. Not patronize. You don't go there.
Yeah, instead
don't
of
be a
canceling
patron.
them, you're throwing more.
Don't be a patron.
Yeah.
So the interesting that happened is it was actually on another podcast that I was on. I was on Nelson's podcast, American podcast,
Okay.
and we had a guy that had a magazine called Filipino, but he wasn't Filipino.
Oh.
I went in on him on that podcast. I'm like, why do you have just import models and it's called Filipino, but there's no culture? Again, that's the whole thing, right? It's
There's
like
a fine line.
There's obviously a fine line. If there's these guys that call it barkada and it's now, whatever Filipino infused food, but yet they want to go ahead and tell you that it's not Filipino, then call them out.
Right.
Then call them out.
But you don't have to cancel them, but you can
I mean,
them out.
you call them out, and it's up to the other Filipinos to whether or not they want to go ahead and cancel them or not.
Okay.
I mean, they're probably going to get canceled by default,
Right.
Because I'd never go there,
Right.
right? I'd never go there only because of the principle.
Right.
But I mean, if somebody that was white started a restaurant called Barkada, but his wife is Filipino and he's lived in the Philippines,
It's a different story.
it's a different story.
Yeah.
Or even if he wasn't married to somebody in the Philippines and he opened up a Filipino restaurant, but he has a love and he has an authentic love and understanding or interest in the culture, we help that grow as opposed to want to cancel him simply because he's white. Just because he wants to know more or loves our culture does not mean he's doing damage to it.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
I 100% agree with you, but devil's advocate time. Like, what if they just made the same word as us? Hear me out. When I say puto, what do you guys think of?
I picture two things.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
Filipino thing
the
and
Filipino thing,
and the
but then
Hispanic thing.
if you say that to a Mexican, what do they think of?
Yeah.
You know,
But there's still a meaning at the end of the day.
there's still a meaning, but they're what if they invented that word? What if that was an acronym, and it just so happens that it sounds out like that?
Yeah, but I'm saying,
But no, I'm not defending them because I completely agree with the rest of the team here. But again, don't jump to conclusions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't, but then when you step inside and it's Filipino food, but there's nothing Filipino, then you're like,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. But again, and this is going back towards like the whole cancel culture, because some people will hear one thing about somebody and it's just a rumor, but then all of a sudden, oh, such and such is this. Now,
Yeah, I think we need to normalize
fist fights.
that too. I think we need to normalize hearing both sides of the story and being open to them. I think at the end of the day, that's what us as a team constantly preach. I actually had someone recently give us a compliment about that. They said, we like the way that you guys discuss topics that are, you know, men and women like sided, right? But then you guys discuss it in a way where, not like these other podcasts where it has to be like super like left or super right, like where it's like the guys are fucking talking down on the girls and the girls are fucking yelling at the dudes and they're just like, fuck you, my opinion's right. Like, people are like, I like the way that it's very organic and you guys sit there and you state your opinion, and even when you disagree, you do it respectfully. And I think that's something that we need to normalize, instead of canceling the, you know, cultures or people instantly because of a difference of opinion. I think you just need to state your opinion and be okay with the fact that someone may or may not agree with you.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, we try to be as unbiased as possible. And put it this way, if we were single, I'd let Ari come in me.
I mean, I'm single. Ari?
He wouldn't let me though.
Yeah, no.
Wait, you're not single?
I am.
But you said if I would, do you say
No,
if I was single?
if we were both single.
Oh, okay. I thought you said if I was single. Also, do you need to tell us something?
He said if we were single, and I'm like, well, I'm single.
He's single.
We,
so
as in lahat.
You want to do it to each other?
Bak lahat.
Baklahat. We're all gay, kind of.
Okay, I know I'm like putting out a bunch of scenarios, but what about the scenario we talked about outside, about here, even in our small San Diego County, right? There was the Filipino guy that was at a big Filipino function, but not a Filipino function. There was just a lot of Filipinos there, and he had a Filipino brand that was starting to slowly rise here in San Diego. A lot of people were repping him. Even Ackright bought a couple of his things, and then he showed at this party who had a fellow woman and women that were there that are very strong in representing the Filipino culture. Like, they do a lot of the Philam stuff and like things like that, right? So very proud in their Filipino culture. And this man, we were all, not we, I wasn't there, but like everybody there was like getting drunk and having a good time.
Being Filipino.
Being Filipino, right?
Yeah.
Wearing his shit, whatever. And I guess there was an incident. This is just me speaking about what I heard, so I wasn't there. Again, I could be wrong. Apparently he grabbed her ass or did something sexual to her, and she did not like it, and she fucking canceled, because this woman has kind of like her own footprint in this community, a very strong footprint, and she canceled him. Like, she fucking burned his shit on IG stories. There was other women that were tagging her, burning his shit in IG stories, and that brand that he worked so hard on, which was actually a wonderful brand. Like, I really liked what he made. I was actually sad I couldn't rep it after that day, but they just fucking they burned him. Like, he was non-existent after that night had happened. Like, his brand was gone. No one ever saw him again for a fucking long time. And I remember we ran into him at another function months after, and you could just tell like someone fucking broke his spirit. Like, that fool looked so sad and not the same ever again.
Look, again, we're not here to diminish whatever acts he did, because it probably crossed the line.
Right. He crossed the line for sure.
Well, that probably.
That's not questionable.
I'm pretty sure he crossed the line.
Yeah.
But there's nothing that can't be solved in private.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's nothing that you can go, kuya, ano ba? You know, or,
right.
you know.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, hey, brother, hey, you know what, man? I know you got kind of drunk, you got kind of touchy-feely, man. I kind of feel uncomfortable. And give him the opportunity to fucking apologize.
Yeah.
Now, the problem is that you have a following.
Right.
So what you're going to do is you're going to stand again on that soapbox, and understandably you're upset. I understand you're upset, and you're going to go ahead and lay out the dirty laundry. Right? What makes you, or what causes you to do that? It's a question. It's like, what is the purpose of you standing there and denouncing this guy and basically ruining his life for a transgression that he made? Yes, it's inappropriate. but why are you so invested in ruining the guy's life?
Okay, not to say that what she did was right, but I'll give you a little bit more backstory. Okay, so this same woman apparently was in a marriage or a long-term relationship. I don't know if she was actually married to the father of her child. Then later also posted about it as a way to reach out to women that have been abused. Apparently he was a woman beater. He beat her. He was abusive as a significant other. And
Okay.
I believe that that's kind of what she said. Like, this is where that starts, is if you let a man get away with something small, it turns into empowering him and his misogyny.
So
But if she talked to him on the side, and I'm not saying that, like, I'm not taking sides.
Yeah.
But in this particular scenario, I agree. Like, if something starts to become wrong, you stop it right then.
Right.
But the tactics and the way that you decide to do that can
Make or break someone.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because like if my daughter started stealing is wrong.
Right.
But I'm not gonna remove her face.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. You'd probably take her aside, tell her how fucking wrong it is.
Yeah.
So the point is, and I think we can all agree, women and men on this team, is there is a way that you can solve these issues of wrong without fucking having to break someone's soul.
Yeah, but it's really important that you mentioned that she was getting abused, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she was getting abused.
Well, she was like years prior to this incident.
Okay, so if you're getting abused years prior to this event, why didn't you speak up then? Why didn't you cancel your own husband?
She did.
No, before that,
Yeah, she
she
spoke a lot about it on her thing.
And then what? But she still kept him in the house?
No, this was after they split. She left him. She wrote a lot about the story. She spoke a lot about women. So she did do that. She canceled the shit out of her man too.
So-
No, I know. Okay, but then yeah. So she's obviously hurt, and that's
Right.
understandable because you get your ass whooped. You're fucking mentally fucked, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But you have to kind of like have the ability to also breathe
Separate
in,
it.
Yeah.
breathe in,
She
and
shouldn't have taken that out
on the other guy too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know what it is that unfortunately, like, we want to call her damaged goods because it's true. I mean, it doesn't mean that she can mentally, physically repair, that she can't mentally, physically repair herself for the next guy. But right now, but at that point, she was damaged goods, and that just another triggering effect. And I don't know these people, so I can't speak to both of their personalities or whatever what they are. The guy could have been like a loving like family, and then he actually did that, or that could have been ongoing already, but she didn't put a stop to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. We don't know the history.
That
particular person.
Because there's some things where Vince will say things to you all the time, right? And let's just say you and Ackright had a falling out, and now you're mad at Ackright, and he says something, but he's really unaware of how you're gonna react. Then
I go off on
then you get off on
Yeah.
you go off on him on social media. It's while it's deserving. Right? While it makes sense.
Yeah, you should have stopped me
The
long
context
time ago.
isn't
Yeah.
there. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
we
that's
don't
true.
understand the context of why he said it and why he tapped you on the ass.
Yeah.
Now, if he physically assaulted you, like grabbed you, held you down, and tried to
rape you practically.
fucking cancel the guy.
Mm-hmm.
But if he simply just tapped you on the ass, say, "Hey, what's up, baby girl? Yeah, I mean, look at that ass."
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, as friends, we do stupid shit like that when we're drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We call me and Rich. We have a new term for that. It's homosexual.
Homosexual.
Yeah.
Like you have your friend that just really likes to slap people. I don't know. I've been blacked out drunk and I've been slapped by this person.
Yeah.
Like-
It's so funny because there's only like certain ones that she's comfortable enough to do that with, and I'm like, how come him, but not him? You know what I mean? Like, how come?
It's called foreplay. It's called foreplay. See the twinkle in my eye. I'm just kidding. No.
No, it's kind of weird because it's the ones that are like, she slaps Ackright all the time because they're best friends, but then she starts slapping you, and I was like, you ain't best friends. How come it's okay to slap him?
And I'm a lot closer to her.
She won't ever slap fucking.
Yeah.
It's like it's just funny.
Foreplay.
He's like, hey.
Hit me up. DM me. I don't know. You don't have social media, but DM me. It's called text.
You're stupid.
No, but I mean, again, we don't understand the whole thing, but you stand on this thing you obviously want to dig in and say that guy is wrong. There's obviously a reason for it, and that's when I asked why, why was she so invested, and the years of abuse led up to that. So that now I understand why she would have stood there.
So triggered.
It felt so triggered to do it. It's similar to how, like, if you had a friend, and like if Vince and I, we have like Vince was dating somebody, and I found out that this girl was actually cheating on Vince. Do you tell the other partner? Do you tell the person? Are you that invested in ruining that relationship?
I would be invested, because if they keep on posting that shit, it's kind of like watching Seasons, and you want to know how it comes out. So it's like, yo, like I want to see this final episode.
Yeah.
What's the ending, guys?
Yeah.
No, I mean,
is there gonna be a spin-off?
It just cancel culture. It's just one of those things where I get it, and when you have this pedestal, and then for years now, since of years of abuse, and you finally get there and you finally own up the courage. Own up the courage to share your life on social media, and now everybody agrees with you, pats you on the back, now tells you that you are a savior, now tells you that you are now the Martin Luther King of abused women. You kind of get an ego.
True.
But
right? You kind of get an ego, and then this thing happens, and you're gonna have to feed that ego.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna call a spade. Like, whatever happened was fucked up.
Yeah.
But when you do it in public, and when you stand there and you do it in a way where now you're airing out your dirty laundry for the sake of saving other people, sometimes you sound disingenuous too.
Yeah.
This is the thing. Kind of piggybacking off of what you were saying is that, like, it all stems into like building up. Because there wasn't only one case of one person, that we're talking about. I just tired of saying his name all the time, but I think one big thing is we have to normalize being open and talking, because, if I have a bad relationship, well, that's my fault, because I let it become a bad relationship instead of like one bad day and then we address it. But then now I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh, I've dated a Scorpio. Now I think all Scorpios suck. That's some dumb shit, Oh, my last girlfriend was a Cancer and she was like crazy. Not all cancers are crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
all girls are psycho, because you had one psycho girl.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or like all guys are fuck boys or some shit like that. Or, like that. You let it get to that point,
Yeah. Your choices in men or women.
Yeah,
exactly. Accountability.
Yeah, it takes some accountability. Look, I've dated I've dated a lot of different girls. Well, I wouldn't say a lot, but I've had a variety of like girls.
I like how you turn your.
Well, I'm just kidding.
I've dated a shit ton of women, but not that many tons.
Yeah. Well, no, because like I'm thinking like I've had mostly like serious relationships, so I equate dating a lot to being in a relationship a lot.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of like took it back, because like I said before, I don't have a high body count.
He sounds like a hoe half the time, and so do I, but that's not it.
I just role play with a bunch of different girls, different personalities. That's why I have that's why I have what point was I making? Oh no. Okay, so that's the thing, is that take accountability. If you see something that's going wrong, do something about it. Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, it's gonna get worse, because if some people taken or are given an inch and they try to take a foot or a mile or whatever. I don't know what that term is, or that
you take an inch, you take a mile.
Yeah. So stop it when it's an inch.
I mean, I love the fact that the women, men, women, well, all of us, we have the ability to have that platform, and if you went through all that shit, and then you share it, sometimes you do it you do it because it's genuinely what you want to do. You want to help out, right?
Right.
But a lot of times when it starts to blow up,
there's another motive.
There's an ego now. Like it feeds your purpose. So now you automatically think you're Joan of Arc.
Yeah, it's true.
You know?
Yeah.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's just that at the end of the day, you're gonna have to look at, basically the carnage. What did you leave behind?
Right.
Like at the end of the day, while you stood there and then you're trying to drive this narrative, or you're trying to drive this cause. At the end of the day, did you succeed in fulfilling whatever goal you wanted to fulfill, or did you just have a litter of bodies behind you
that are patting you on the back?
No, just litter of dead bodies.
I see. Mm-hmm.
Right? Did you just go in and then it's like cast an atomic bomb across the world, or did you actually fix the problem, or did you actually donate to the cause?
Yeah, that's a good point. I also wanted to say about cancel culture is I feel cancel culture has made it really hard for people to make mistakes. Do you know what I mean? Like, you haven't left room for people to make mistakes. Like, people are so scared to say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, that most of the time they'll just not even do anything, right? Because they're so scared that they're going to get repercussions from it. And I think that's as a parent, I think that's a really bad example to set to this next generation, because I want my kid to know to speak their voice, to have their opinions, to have their values, and be able to talk about them freely without being scared that they're going to be fucking attacked or crushed or whatever. And the fact of the matter is we're all humans. We're all going to say something fucked up at some point in time. We're all going to make a mistake at some point in time. We're all going to have an opinion that someone is not going to agree with. And we just need to come to terms with that fact, that everybody's different. Everybody has different traumas, triggers, like we talked about, different things that we go through. And we have to be able to go into that with an open mind and willing to understand each other instead of wanting to go into it fighting each other.
Yeah. So if you're an influencer, or if you have a company, if you're a business owner and you run into these problems, like similar to what we just talked about, invest in a PR firm immediately. Don't say shit. Get yourself a PR, public relations firm to help you get out of that. It's going to cost you, but it doesn't have to actually cost you your entire dream.
Yeah.
Sometimes people just say, "I'm sorry, I fucked up," and be very transparent with what the fuck happened. And instead of just saying, "Oh, I'm fucking getting canceled," I'm just going to walk away and be ashamed. Like, I get it, but you cannot also let your dreams die simply because you fucked up.
Right. Agreed.
It's a hard road to travel. Hire a PR firm. Don't say shit, because if you're not versed in social media, you're not versed in all this, your shit can be chopped up and used for other shit too.
Hell yeah.
Hire a PR firm.
So many of our shit could be chopped up and fucked up if people wanted to.
But hire a PR firm to get you back on your feet. It's going to take a while. But eventually, the beauty of America is that America always has a penance for forgiveness.
True.
All you got to say is, I fucked up. I drank out of my mind. I fucked up. And guess what?
And most of the time, people can feel the authenticity.
Yeah, people do.
They do. I mean, there is, again, a lot of people don't know about the beauty world, but it's kind of like a big world if you're in it. There's like one beauty influencer I know that was super big, and she said some derogatory terms against the African American community, but like 15 years ago or something like that, right? They pulled those receipts back up. She got fucking canceled. She gave a genuine apology. You could tell that she was like, that was me when I was dumb and young. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And a lot of, like, everyone forgave her. And then we have another influencer that was in the same circle. They had pulled out the same receipts, and she did like a fake cry on street, like, I am so sorry. And everybody kept her canceled because they felt the non-authenticity. So at the end of the day, people know when you're fucking sorry, like, for reals,
Unless you took my advice and fake breakup with somebody or whatever.
Yeah, reverse breakup.
Reverse breakup.
Reverse
Yeah.
breakup.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then celebrate on
Yeah.
on
So
Independence Day.
yeah, don't do it on FaceTime because then it's gonna be harder for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that part. Yeah, don't look at their face.
So, anyways, in conclusion, I think that we should normalize fist fights and legalize nunchucks. Also, I never want to be an influencer. From now on, I will go by the what's it called, the title of hintfluencer. So I'm actually not going to influence anybody, but I'll give you hints on what you might want to do.
A hintfluencer. That's going to be the new thing.
Yeah, and I'm a content creator. I just want to be content.
All right. Well, you guys have heard our opinions, our thoughts, our discussion on cancel culture. We hope you guys enjoyed the episode.
Comment what you guys feel.
Please.
Rich is saying, look at his dick.
Yeah. What do you feel about this? So
My dick. My dick.
Look, listen. See, speaking of that, you guys don't have to cancel me for such a small thing.
Yeah.
don't cancel us for our opinions, please. Sorry. Okay, you guys. Tune in to the next episode. Thank you for tuning in to this one. Catch all of our handles in the description bar. Don't forget to order your Mikey's meals, and we will catch you on the next episode.
Use the code of Babe Sen.
The Babe Sen. Bye.
Bye. Legalize nunchucks.